Welcome to season 3 of Rebuilding Manchester United. And in the first 2 seasons, it was more about overhauling the squad, getting our young players in, giving our squad a bit of an identity. Now we move into season 3, and we still need to move players on and we still need to bring players in. But it's now starting to turn more into we want to dominate English and European football. We've won the last 2 Premier Leagues, so we want to keep that going. Plus, we want to win some domestic cup competitions. And after being beaten in the Champions League final last year, we need revenge this season round. Okay, let's get into the actual transfer side of things, because I know that's what you guys like to see. While I do that, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, all that sort of good stuff. So in terms of players that we've released this season or at the end of last season, Christian Eriksen, Mason Greenwood, Donny van der Beek, they're the 3 main players that have gone. There's been a load of youngsters in there as well that we've also released. If we also go back to last season and look at the actual transfers, in terms of anyone leaving at the end of last season on a transfer, there's only Jacob Devaney that went to Peterborough on a free transfer. Those of you that watched my Bottoms Up series, you may be aware of the name Jacob Devaney, because I believe we had him on loan at Aveley right at the very start of it. So it was nice to be reunited with Jacob, but he was never good enough for Manchester United. In terms of players that came in at the end of the season, Rodrigo Mora came in for £6 million from the Porto B team. As you see, he's gone straight into our under-21s and he's now actually out on loan at AC Ajaccio of France in the League 2. And yeah, he's a player that could well become a decent squad player for us. He's never going to be a world beater or anything like that, but he's out on loan. He's going to be getting some regular first team football. He's already played 2 games, no goals, no assists, but his rating's been very decent. So hopefully that proves to be a successful season for him out on loan, and he can come back next season and maybe work towards getting into our first team. Let's go to this season and we'll get to the signings we've got over here in a moment. But Andre Onana has confirmed his £36 million move to Tottenham. Lewis Jackson has left on a free. Tyler Fletcher, he's a youngster that was never going to be anything for us. We've let him go for a nominal £1.2 to £1.5 million fee to Bournemouth. Tyrell Malacia has gone to Atalanta for £6.75 million. Pelistri has gone on a free. Moore, as we know, has gone to Ajaccio, and Jadon Sancho has also gone to Tottenham for £32.5 million, rising to £42 million. My concern is we are turning Tottenham into a pretty decent team, because they've got Onana, they've got Sancho. I'm sure they've had more from us over the last couple of seasons as well. They've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, they've got, well, Andre Onana we know, so they've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka from last season, Harry Maguire from the season before that. So Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Onana and Sancho all leaving to go to Tottenham. I don't know if Maguire is still at Tottenham, actually. He might have moved on. Yeah, he has. He's been reunited with his associates at Leicester City, which is where he was around this time, where he really made a name for himself before getting his £80 million move to Manchester United, then a £24 million move to Tottenham. Never really done a great deal at Tottenham. We mugged him off really there, and they sold him on for £4.4 million. He's now 32 years of age. Still got 2 or 3 years, maybe even a few more left in him. To be fair, he's had a career, let's be honest. So that's where we kind of are with the outs. With the ins, if we move to this season, Pau Gabasi has come in from the Barcelona B team, 4.5-star potential, 2-star current. We're really going to push him this season because he's got more potential than any of the centre-backs we've got at the club at the moment. So I really want to see how he can progress in our team. He will be playing as a ball-playing defender on the right-hand side. So, yeah, for £6 million, he's already got a valuation of up to £47 million anyway. And no doubt he's going to be a future Spanish international. Then we get to the 2 exciting ones. Michael Kayode has come in. Where do we get him from? From Fiorentina for £73 million. That was hitting his release clause. As you can see, he's a 21-year-old Italian international, a valuation of up to £137 million. 5-star potential. He's not listed as a wonder kid, which I find a bit. I think once you get over the age of 20, they stop calling you a wonder kid. But he is definitely a wonder kid, or was a wonder kid. 4-star current potential, 5-star. Sorry, 4-star current ability, 5-star potential. Plays at right back. He can do left back to a degree. He's decent standard, 3 standards left back if we need him there. So he's kind of the Diego Dalot replacement before Dalot's even moved on. Then we've got Sear House of Naipan. For regular players of FM, you will be very familiar with this guy. He is featured in many teams, even the Football Manager Twitter account, X account, whatever you want to call it, has posted about him recently, about the amount of people that have had him in their team. £70 million. He's a wonder kid, 18-year-old Norwegian international wonder kid. I mean, all them words, 18-year-old international wonder kid, he's already there. You know, he's got 4.5-star potential, 2.5-star current ability, a current value of up to 114 million. That being said, if we look at our tactics screen, he doesn't actually feature in our first team. Javi Guerrera, we've already got as the attacking playmaker, and Naipan does prefer to be an advanced playmaker. He can do central midfielder, he can do Mazzala, he can do deep line playmaker, although I don't know many people that have a deep line playmaker and an advanced playmaker. We are potentially going to use him as a box-to-box midfielder if he comes in place of Neves. If he comes in place of Guerrera, he will be the advanced midfielder. So I anticipate he will get plenty of games as we rotate between them. It just gives us amazing depth in that midfield. And that's what this team kind of is now. If we have a look at the team and look at who we've got in our first choice 11 compared to when we first came here at the club, only Kobe Mainu and Garnacho are in the team, Alejandro Garnacho. They're the only two players in the team that were around the team when we first came here. And if you watched episode 1, you will know that I did say back then that I want to build our future team around Mainu and Garnacho, and that is exactly what we've done. The goalkeeper's different, the defence is different, the two midfielders in front of Mainu is different, a wide man, a striker, yes, we have got Rasmus Højlund. He's 22 years old. We've only got 2 more seasons after this, so there's no reason why we need to sell him. He can stick around. Bayendir will move on. We'll get a better goalkeeper in to play for him. We've already got Charlie Duas, who is a 17-year-old Englishman. He's come through our youth setup, 4.5-star potential. We want to play him in a Kobe Mainu position as well, just to get him into the squad. And, he's definitely a player that we plan on keeping around. Diego Dalot will obviously move on. He's 26 now. He can't be here by the end of season 5 when we finish the save. He has to have gone. So we need to get him out of the club. Marcus Rashford also needs to be out of the club. The problem we've got with him is he's still actually got 3 years left on his contract. We could potentially be in a position where we release him at the end of his contract, but I would like to get some money for him. But unfortunately, people only want him in on loan. He's on 300,000 a week. People are not that keen to match that. In terms of who else we've got here, Luke Shaw will obviously need to move on, as will Martinez, Anthony and Mason Mount. So we will be looking at moving these players out over the course of the next 3 seasons. But in general, we've pretty much got in what we want, and the team is starting to really take shape now. I do anticipate it will change slightly over the course of the next 3 seasons, this season, next 2. But if we go to the competitions page, have a look at the Premier League, the season preview. They've got us down as finishing 5th. I think we'll do a lot better than that, quite honestly, even though we don't have anybody in the media dream 11, which I find quite stunning. Bellingham, by the way, is at Manchester City. I mean, not being unkind to whoever the Manchester City manager is. I mean, they've got Vinicius Junior as well. I mean, this is just cheating, isn't it? What signings are that? So it's still Pep Guardiola that's there. If we have a look at their transfer, they've only brought in Paul Wanner this season. What did they do at the end of last? So at the end of last season, they had Wanner on loan last season. So they brought in Jude Bellingham for 181, rising to 249 million. I mean, that is insane money that they're spending. The season before that, Zielinski's a pretty decent player in this game as well. Ricardo Horta, they bought him for £25 million. Vinicius Junior came for 185, rising to £255 million. I mean, that is madness. It really is. They've had 185 on Vinicius Junior, 185. Oh no, it's 185. I thought it was 185 in on Topalovic. I'm thinking they've been ripped off there. 181 on Jude Bellingham. And then this season, they've only done 6.75 so far. But how Manchester City are not doing better than what they have been is absolutely stunning, quite honestly. Obviously, they've still got the likes of Ruben and Gvardiol and Bernardo and Haaland. But could you, I mean, yeah, let's just have a look at Man City's actual team. So you've got Edison in goal. Callum Doyle was left back. I mean, is he actually any good in this game? He's okay, but you'd imagine that would probably be Gvardiol that's there. This doesn't look like it's their best 11. Because you'd like to think in their best 11 that Ruben Diaz would be in that best 11. But look at their squad, it just goes on forever. And that is their senior squad as well. You know, they've still got Rodri, Foden, Bernardo, Vinicius Junior, Haaland. I mean, this is just madness. I mean, if you want an easy game, don't get me wrong, Manchester United are an easy team to take control of and win things, but the things you could win and the way you could win with Manchester City, it is incredible. In terms of the finances, we've got 19.8 million in the bank, so we've still got a bit of money there. We've actually got 1.4 million in the wage budget. I mean, if we tried to manoeuvre that about, and let's just say we wanted to leave ourselves 4 million in the wage budget, I mean, we could move it like that and have 49 million pounds in the transfer budget with 800,000 still to spend in the wage budget. So there's definitely money there to play about with if we want it. We're just gonna, oh no, hang on, where are we going? We'll just move it back to where it was around there for now. There's not really anyone else I've identified as wanting to bring in. I don't want to make my squad too big, obviously, because what the position we also have is if, say, Marcus Rashford leaves, we need to have somebody else that's trained in nation at the very least that we can bring in. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've currently got 8 there. Them 8 will all need to be registered by Alvaro Fernandez, who, let's face it, is not very good. Is still here. If we have a look at our dev centre, we've got a strong under-18 squad, and we do have John Kirk here as a striker. That 5-star potential. I mean, I can't believe he's not listed as a wonder kid. He's only 16 years old. 1.5 star there. We will look to use him probably in the Carabao Cup this season. Jerry Wilby as well is a player that will most likely end up coming through. We've got Aaron Campbell who can play on the left. I mean, he kind of strikes me as an automatic Rashford replacement, I've got to say. His value is up to 10 million. He's got 3 to 4 star potential. He's got squad player written all over him, so we could definitely look at bringing him through. Then you've got Jack Fletcher, who plays in the centre of midfield, can do the advanced playmaker role for us, maybe. What else can he do? Can he do a box? I mean, he's got 12 for long shots, so he could potentially do box to box for us as well. In actual fact, if we go into his training and let's give him the role of box to box midfielder on support, and let's get him trained up in that role, he's definitely someone we can then look at bringing through. Harry Amass is another one who's 1.5 star at the moment, potential to be 4-star, potential left back. I think what we could look at doing with him is for someone like Alvaro Fernandez, if we get this back to what it was, for someone like Alvaro Fernandez, who is a left back, we could potentially move him on, and that other guy, let's go back to us, I forgot his name, that other guy, Harry Amass, that's the one, he can basically have that role. You know, he's replacing a homegrown for homegrown. Jerry Wilby is another player that played a couple of times for us last season. We've got Daniel Davis, who can also do the left-hand side. And, I mean, he wants to be a striker, but he's probably not going to be. So we have got some really good potential players in our under-18s. If we have a look at our under-21s, I mean, Harry Amas is in there. Rodrigo Mora that we've brought in as well. He could end up featuring for us. Not a great deal in here. I think our main hope is in the under-18s. If we have a look at staffing as well, I mean, we are basically maxed out on all of our staffing. I've not bothered really altering a great deal. I sorted things out in season 1 with staffing, and I've been happy to leave it as it is. We could try and do something about our recruitment analyst so we can get that up a bit more. We could try and do something about our physios. I mean, for example, if you have a look at our physios, we've got this guy here who's 16. We've got this guy here who's a 20, so he's obviously not going anywhere. John Davin is an 18. Richie Merron is a 16. And John Alberg, who is a 20. So potentially Merron and Billingsley, we could potentially move on to get somebody else in, but I'm not overly worried about it. It's decent enough. I mean, I think we're second in the division. Yeah, second behind Man City. For this one, we're second behind Newcastle. Goalkeeping coaches, I mean, what have we got in terms of goalkeeping coaches? We've got 3 of them. We've got Tapalovic, who is excellent. We've got this guy here who is even better. Then we've got Richard Hartis. He's the one we could probably improve on if we really wanted to. But again, he's still very decent. I've got no real need to change what we've got in our staffing. If people end up leaving because they retire or something, obviously we will replace them. In terms of dynamics, we start the season with very good team cohesion. We've got excellent club atmosphere, very good managerial support. Luke Shaw wants a new challenge. I am trying to offer him out to people, but there's not really a great deal of interest in him. There's AC Milan that are interested, but like it said on the previous screen, it's hard to find a club due to his wage demands. So it is what it is. In terms of our schedule, friendlies have been fine. They've been I mean, that one there against Hartlepool, bit of a waste of it was a fitness game, let's be honest. 12-1. Then a 5-1 win against Newport County, 3-1 win against Charlotte Independence, 1-1 draw with Nashville, a 4-1 win against Rochdale, and a 1-0 win against Bayern Munich. We seem to play them every season in a pre-season friendly. We're on game day now. We've got Manchester City in the Community Shield coming up. Obviously, we want to win it, but it is only the Community Shield. Then we start the season with Brentford away, West Brom at home, Liverpool away, Fulham at home, West Ham at home. A little bit of a tough run here where we've got Tottenham, Tottenham, Arsenal and Newcastle. 2 of those being away from home as well. The New Year Christmas type fixture, we've got Chelsea, Man City there, but we've got Crystal Palace, we've got Leicester, we've got West Brom. And we finished the season, our final 5, Chelsea, Man City, Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace and Leicester. So overall, I think that's a pretty decent fixture list, if we're being quite honest. And that probably brings me to the end of part 1. I don't think there's really anything else that I need to go through with you on. Or actually, not part 1. It brings me to the end of what I'm saying now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to play through until after the Liverpool game, the end of the transfer window on the 1st of September. I think that's when the transfer window closes. 31st of January, 1st September. Yeah, 1st September. So I'll bring you back on the 1st of September to show you any potential signings we've made or players we've sold between now and then. And then that will be the end of part 1. But I'll see you in a flash. The transfer window has slammed shut. Well, it actually slammed shut just over a week ago. We've been waiting for a deal with Luke Shaw to go through before we actually came back. And as you can see, Marcus Rashford has also left. I'll show you his in a moment. It's a £2.2 million loan fee, but there is a mandatory fee on that as well. But Luke Shaw's gone to Fenerbahce. He was on £200,000 a week when he was with us. He's gone to them, he's on £150,000 a week. As part of the clause we've got with them is we are paying 18,500, I think it is. So he's actually being paid, £168,500 a week. So yeah, we're paying a little bit of wages as well, but it's less than 10%. And I just thought, considering the amount of money we're going to be saving on him as well. We're still saving £180,000 basically, 181,500. So yeah, he's gone. Marcus Rashford, in the meantime, is on loan for the season at Inter Milan, but he has got a mandatory future fee of £49 million. So at the end of this season, as well as the 2.2 million we're going to receive anyway for him, which effectively takes up to £51 million, as well as that 2.2 million pound fee, we are going to be getting 49 million for him at the end of the season. That is all lovely, wonderful stuff. Really pleased to get him out of the door. In the meantime, in terms of what we've brought in Ferdinand Geber. He's a German 19-year-old goalkeeper. He's in our under-21s at the moment. The idea is leave him in there for a couple of seasons while we work out how to get rid of Aitor Baranda or Bayandir, our backup goalkeeper. He could be a backup goalkeeper. I am going to look for something a little bit better than this, but considering we paid 2.2 million for him, it's a drop in the ocean. It's nothing much, and it just gives us a bit of something as a backup goalkeeper in case something happens to Bayandir or indeed Dennis Simon as well. We've got somebody else we can bring because the backup goalkeepers we've got are absolutely naff in the under-21s and the under-18s. So yeah, that was just a deal for a deal's sake, really. And then we got Nestroy Irankunda. Now, I've never had this guy in FM before. He's an Australian 19-year-old international. He's a dynamic winger. He's got 2-star current ability with 4 to 5-star potential. He can play both right and left. And I am really looking forward to seeing him play for us because he looks like he's really decent, to be quite honest. And yeah, we've brought him in for a minimal £13 million. He's already got the value of up towards 40 million as well, and that will only go up and up and up. He's played 14 times for Australia, yet to score a goal, which would indicate goal scoring is not his strong point. But this is the first for FM because I don't think I've ever had an Australian in my squad that I intend to use regularly in Football Manager. So that's a first for me. Be interested to see how he progresses over the next 3 years, which means we've made more progress in our squad. I have upset Diego Dalot because I've not registered him as part of my Champions League squad. He's now incredibly unhappy with me. I've put him on the transfer list. He is wanted by Inter Milan. So if Inter Milan want to come in for him, they want to pay around 40 million. I'll take 30 to be quite honest. Then that will be him shipped out as well, which would also mean, if we have a look at our squad, that a lot of let's get rid of all of that, which means a large portion of the players we want to get rid of are now gone. There's not a great deal still to worry about. We've also got the likes of, where is he? Kelson, who should become homegrown for the Champions League side of things as of next season. I don't think Nicholas Romero-Wilks is already 21 at the moment, but Patrick Dorgu, he should also become homegrown pretty soon. If you actually have a look at his information, we might be able to see his eligibility. It doesn't indicate here that he will be under 20 or regarded as homegrown for us, but I'm pretty certain, if I've worked it out correctly, that he turns 21 in October, so he won't be over. Maybe he won't. That's going to be interesting. Rooney Bargy, though, absolutely should do. Let's have a look at his information, his eligibility. There you go. He's got 640 days left, which is just under 2 years. So not the end of this season, but the end of next season. He should qualify as under 18, as a homegrown as well. And there's a few others like that as well in our squad that will obviously help towards the Champions League side of things, because we did struggle to actually get a squad together this year. Like I say, we had to leave out Dalot. We've also left out Anthony as well. He is on the transfer list, but nobody wants him. Can't say I blame him. When's he out of contract? He's out of contract in the end of not the next season, but the season after. Hopefully we can get him gone, but if not, he'll just leave naturally anyway. But yeah, that is the transfer side of things. If we have a look at the schedule, how our season started, I mean, we've had some mad games. I'm going to tell you that some of the amounts of goals that are scored. The the Community Shield against Manchester City finished 6-4. We won it. We won the Community Shield, but this was just a balmy game. Man City went 3-0 up inside 20 minutes, and by this point, I'm thinking, all right, fair enough. Man City have got the Community Shield. Can we just not get absolutely battered, please? By half time, it was 3-3, and I'm like, okay, we're back into it. We can go on and win this now. Momentum is with us. We can win the Community Shield. And then 1 minute into the second half, Jude Bellingham set up early in Haaland. I mean, that's just cheating, in my opinion, to make it 4-3. And again, I was like, oh, okay, so they are going to win. And then 2 goals from Garnacho and 1 from Patrick Dorgu gave us a 6-4 win. And I mean, just look at the stats. It's just madness. It really is. I just couldn't believe what I was watching in that game. Then a 2-0 win against Brentford as their first league game. Marcus Rashford coming off the bench to score both goals in that game. And then against West Brom, we won 5-0. A hat-trick from Rasmus Højlund, Javi Guerrera getting on the score sheet, and Michael Caicedo getting on the score sheet as well. And then we played Liverpool, another mad game here. If we just have a look at, I mean, stats-wise, it probably would have been fair for it to have been a draw. But, you know, XG was very close. We slightly edged it. We slightly edged the shots on target. Possession, we slightly edged. But our right-back, Caicedo, new signing, of course, in the summer, getting the first 2 goals of the game. Guerrera and Kılıçsoy getting the assist. But then by half-time, Liverpool come back into it. Curtis Jones and Darwin Núñez getting on the score sheet there. And then Guerrera gets a penalty 7 minutes into the second half, 3-2. Salah then brings it back on 16 minutes for 3-3. And then Kobe Minu with Diego Dalot assist on 91 of 98 minutes. Absolute madness, it really was. 4-3. So it's been an incredible start to the season. I mean, we started off with 2 clean sheets in the league, but we're now conceded 3 in 3. In terms of the Champions League, or in terms of Carabao Cup, we've got Coventry City in the 3rd round. Then in the Champions League, we've got Bayern Munich at home, Chelsea at home. Then we go away to Partizan Belgrade, Club Brugge away. Then we've got Real Madrid away, so we go to the Bernabeu. By Leverkusen away. I mean, this is a run of games away from home. And then in that little spell in January, finish off with 2 home games, Astana and Shakhtar Donetsk. So we should be fine qualifying from the Champions League. We've obviously got difficult games with like Bayern, Chelsea and Real Madrid. By Leverkusen as well, you can include in that. But generally, not a bad draw indeed. So if we look at the Premier Division table, we are top, 3 games played, 3 wins, goal difference of 8 on 9 points. Man City are right with us, also on 9 points. West Ham, Luton and West Brom have not had the best of starts. Have West Ham moved into their fancy stadium that they move into in this game? Where am I finding this out? Let's go to their schedule and have a look at one of their home games. It's not giving me... Where am I finding this out, folks? I've had a complete and utter brain meltdown. Facilities. There you go. No, they're still at the London Stadium. Okay. So I think they do end up moving to like the Bobby Moore Stadium or something like that. Everton, they usually move to their new stadium. Yeah, the Bramley Moore Dock Stadium. 52,000 all seat. I mean, yeah, it's just meant to be a really good stadium, isn't it? If we have a look at, so I am conscious this part 1's running a bit long, so I'll try and make part 2 a bit shorter. But if we actually have a look at the money that's being spent in terms of salary and come down to salary per annum, we are now 8th. We were 7th, we was above Everton before we sold Rashford and Shaw. We're now down to 8th at 123 million. There's every possibility by the end of this save, we're going to be around 10th. West Ham, who are currently bottom of the table, are in 10th position. But the fact that we've reduced our wage bill by the amount we have, we're still hemorrhaging money. I don't know how we're hemorrhaging money, but we are. We have £38.5 million in the transfer budget, but our current spending is 2.8 million. We have cut that by around 50%, because we was up to 4.5 million when we first took over at Manchester United. We have basically halved the wage budget with the players we've got rid of, the players we've bought in, and all this sort of stuff. And still we're hemorrhaging money. If we have a look at our debts and loans, I mean, we've got bank loans galore. I mean, Manchester United are an absolute mess when it comes to money. They really, really are. And yeah, it's just not looking particularly good. That being said, the projections are actually looking incredibly good. So by the end of this save, we could have actually saved the finances of Manchester United, and their financial status is currently only okay. Right, that's the end of part one. We'll have the transition, and I'll see you for part two. Welcome back to part two of the video, the mid-season review. And oh my word, we are good. We are really, really good. We've lost, I think it's just one game all season, and that was in the Premier League against Tottenham. Patrick Dorgu getting on the score sheet for us in a 2-1 defeat at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And our results have been absolutely fantastic. We'll go through them right now. We have also made some signings. Some players have come in the January transfer window. Some players have gone out as well. Some pretty big names have gone out. So stick around for that. But you knew about the Community Shield, and you knew about how the first few games of the season went. We carried it on with 4-0 against Fulham, with a Champions League start against Bayern Munich. Was a 4-0 win against them, with goals from Højlund, 2 from Garnacho and 1 from João Neves. Then we beat West Ham 3-1. Carabao Cup third round. I mean, I've got to say, the cup runs, the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, we are being given some pretty kind draws this season, and you'll see that as we go. In the Carabao Cup third round against Coventry City, we won 4-0 with a very heavily rotated team. Then came the defeat against Tottenham. Then we had a 1-0 win in the Champions League against Chelsea, a 2-2 draw in the league at home against Arsenal, a 1-1 draw away from home in the league against Newcastle. And I must admit, at this stage, I thought we was going through a bit of a tricky spell. You know, in 4 games, we'd won 1, drawn 2, lost 1. And I thought, oh, was that early season starts? Is that starting to come unstuck now? But then we had a pretty kind run where we played Partizan with, again, a very heavily rotated team. We won 3-0, 2 goals from Semi Kalixoy and 1 from Rooney Bargi. And then we had Burnley, who we beat 4-0. Alexander Hammer-Kelson getting on the score sheet there, along with 2 from Rooney Bargi and 1 from Rasmus Højlund. Then the Carabao Cup fourth round, so after Coventry in the third round, we got Middlesbrough in the fourth round, and we won 2-1. Then in the Premier League, a 5-1 win against Southampton, a 3-0 win in the Champions League against Club Brugge. What I will say, actually, if we go back to this game here, John Kirk, he got the winning goal in that game. It was a 39th minute, but it was a winning goal because it was 2-1. And at that point, he became the club's youngest ever goal scorer, beating a record set by, I think it was Norman Whiteside back in 1982 or something. So it was a 44-year-old record that he broke. He is now the club's youngest ever goal scorer. He has also since then as well become the club's youngest ever Champions League goal scorer. So anyway, then came the game against Southampton 5-1. Alejandro Garnacho with a hat-trick, Mason Mount with a couple as well. Club Brugge 3-0, 3-1 against Bournemouth in the league, 4-0 against Luton in the league. Real Madrid we beat 2-1. That was a very exciting game. We went 1-0 up through Rasmus Højlund. Rodrigo pulled it back for him, and then Surveyor House of Naipan in the 81st minute, giving us the goal that won us the game. Then Aston Villa we beat 1-0 in the league. They were about 4th at the time in the league. I'm not sure where they are now, but they're about 4th at the time. Michael Coyote, by the way, has been sensational for us. Then we played Everton and got a 1-1 draw away from home in that one. Chelsea we beat 5-1 in the league. Neves was in terrific form in that game, as was Javi Guerrero, his midfield partner. Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League, we won 2-0, followed by a 1-1 draw against Manchester City away from home in the league. Carabao Cup quarter-final, so after Coventry and Middlesbrough previously, we then got a third championship team in a row with Norwich in the quarter-final. Again, a massively rotated team, and we won 2-1. Nottingham Forest we beat 2-0 in the league. Fulham we beat 1-0 in the league. Where are we? Then we got Crystal Palace we beat 2-0 in the league. 2-0 as well against Leicester and 1-0 against West Brom with a very heavily rotated side again. Then we had the FA Cup third round. We got a Championship side again in Blackburn Rovers. Then the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg. So actually we have lost 2 games. Both of them have been against Tottenham, by the way. We then lost the first leg away from home 3-2. But after beating Brentford in the league, we then won the home leg of that 3-0 with goals from Hoyland, Neves and Wharton. Then we played Liverpool in the league and drew 1-1. Then came the best game of the season for me so far, a 9-0 win against Astana. They even had a player sent off as well. Garnacho, Hoyland with a hat-trick, Romero, Bargi, Neves, Calixoy, Kelson, all on the score sheet. I loved that game, unsurprisingly. Then we played Blackpool, another, are they Championship? I don't know if they're Championship or League One. Actually, Blackpool. No, they are Championship. In the FA Cup fourth round, and we beat them 4-1. Then we had Shakhtar Donetsk in the final Champions League game, which we won 3-0. This is a game in which John Kirk scored 2 goals in that game, and that's when he became our youngest ever Champions League goal scorer. And we've just played, or the last game we played was against West Ham, away from home, a 1-1 draw. Coming up next is Tottenham at home. So, I mean, we did beat them at home last time, but like I say, they are the only team in world football that's beaten us this season. They've beaten us twice. Then we have Newcastle, Arsenal, Manchester City. We've got a really tough run of games coming up here. But if we get through this and we don't just collapse during these 4 games, then we're looking at having a massively successful season. Obviously, the game against Man City is the Carabao Cup final. We've not won the Carabao Cup yet, so I'm really wanting the Carabao Cup there. And again, going on about our comfortable, nice, friendly cup runs, we've got Portsmouth in the 5th round of the FA Cup, so we'll at least get to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup if we beat Portsmouth without having to face a Premier League team. And we're waiting for the draw on the Champions League. So if we go over to the competitions, as you see, Community Shield, we won. Carabao Cup, we're in the final against Manchester City. We're in the 5th round of the FA Cup. Our Champions League, that group, we played 8, won 8, goal difference of plus 26, 24 points, easily finishing top of that group, 4 points ahead of Barcelona and 7 ahead of Liverpool, Napoli, Man City and Real Madrid. PSG and Chelsea also join us through. If we have a look at teams that have missed out, Benfica might be considered a bit of a surprise, especially seeing as Bodo Glimt and Club Brugge have got through. PSV might be considered a surprise as well. But other than that, I mean, Astana, we beat 9-0. I mean, look at them. Didn't even pick up a point in the entire competition. We also had Shakhtar and Partizan. So if you want to see a note as to why our group was so easy, we've played 3 of the bottom 3 teams in this competition. And the Premier League looks like that with us top of the table. We're 4 points ahead of Man City, but Man City do have a game in hand. So if they win that game in hand, they will move to within 1 point of us. So even though we've only lost 1 and we've drawn 6, it's not gone entirely our way. Man City are certainly keeping up there. If we have a look at top goal scorers, Erling Haaland's the top goal scorer with 15. Rasmus Højlund and Garnacho are behind him, joint second with 11 goals. We don't have anybody else in the ratings or assists. Player of the match, Garnacho tops that with 4, or joint top with 4. Clean sheets, Dennis Simon is top of that with 12 clean sheets. So he's looking set for the Golden Glove Award. And yellow cards, Patrick Dorgu tops that. He's top of the Naughty Boys Club with 7. If we go and quickly have a look at the records, I just want to show you that record of where is the youngest goal scorer, 16 years, 305 days, John Kirk versus Middlesbrough, Carabao Cup, 4th round, 28th of October, 2025. So that's a record that he has already, and I love the fact that we do have a current player with that record. Right, now we need to get to transfers because we have been very busy in January, I'll tell you that now. So first of all, finances, we've got 54.6 million in the bank. We've wage budget is, we're currently and committed spending is 2.6 million. We've got that down massively. We are now 9th, I think it is, in the league for wage budget spends. I think we're also top in terms of net spend for transfer budgets. If we actually, in the Premier League, that is, if we actually look at the team detailed, oh no, Everton have overtaken us on the net transfer spend. So yeah, we are 9th for wage, and okay, we're 4th with £132 million net spend in the transfer window, Man City, Newcastle and Everton. I mean, the fact that Everton are spending £200 million net spend and the 15th in the league for it. I mean, I don't know if Russell Martin is a new manager or, yeah, he's only been there 52 days. Leighton Baines was there as a caretaker. Mikel Arteta, so after he got sacked by Arsenal, he then went to Everton, was there for just under a year and has been sacked again and has spent an absolute ton of money and not really moved them anywhere. But anyway, let's get back to transfers. So if we have a look at the players in, I wanted a reserve goalkeeper, someone that can just be there in case anything happens to Bayandir. So we went for Ferdinand Gibert. I assume that's what his name is. He's 19 years old. There's a potential for him to become homegrown or might just miss out on the homegrown side of things. But he's 1.5 star current with 3-star potential. He's not someone I perceive to be here particularly long. But when I looked at the fact that I think Bayandir picked up an injury that kept him out for a week. But when I first saw that he had an injury, I was like, oh no, who have we got as a reserve? And I looked at reserves and it was worse than this, put it that way. So I just went out and just bought in a player that if anything happened to Bayandir or even Simon, could come in and sit on the bench with a little bit of confidence. Like I say, got it from Hoffenheim, 2.2 million. If he ends up leaving the club for nothing, so be it. Then we got Nestory Irankunda, wonder kid, 19-year-old Australian international. This boy looks decent. He looks really, really good. Can play right or left. And when you find out who we've actually moved on from the club, you'll know that we did need to bring in a winger. The fact he's 19 years old, he can be here for the rest of the save. He's 2.5 stars currently. He was actually 2 stars when he arrived at the club. As you see, everything is going up. His acceleration is 19. His pace is 18. This boy is lightning. And I've never had an Australian in Football Manager before. So the fact that we've been able to bring him in, I am so happy. And yeah, bought him in for £13 million. He's already got a value of up to 74 million. So if we want to sell for profit, we absolutely will be able to do that. Then, did you know about these two? I think you would have known about those two. So I'll probably just repeat myself. So what we also done was, so I apologise for repeating myself. We brought in Adam Wharton in the January transfer window, and he's coming from Crystal Palace. It says 100 million. It's 50 million up front and 50 million in instalments. So it will work out 100 million. And he just looks a really decent. Where's he gone? He looks a really decent player that's got potential to improve as well. Have I overpaid for him? Probably. But he is a homegrown in nation player. We needed a homegrown in nation player. We probably need to buy another couple in the summer transfer window as well. But yeah, he is just really, really decent. And I like the look of his profile. And yeah, so he has joined the club. In terms of players that have gone out, now you would have known about all of these that I'm going through so far. So we get to January and we'll ignore most of them. Lisandro Martinez has gone to Aston Villa for £22 million, raising to £27 million. We have got several players like Ethan Williams, who are young players that are running out of contract, that we basically just sold just to get a few £1,000 in rather than letting them go for nothing. So we've got £67,000 for him, rising to £110,000. Then Mason Mount has gone to Galatasaray for £17.25 million, raising to £22.5 million. Anthony has gone to Arsenal on a loan for £600,000 loan fee. But if we have a look at his contract, there is a option in there that if they qualify for the Europa Champions League, the Europa League, then he will join them permanently for £14.75 million. So basically, we just need Arsenal to finish in the top 6, and that will go through, basically. Then we got rid of Diego Dalot. Arsenal took him off our hands as well. They bought him for £16.25 million, just straight out purchased him. Then another couple of youngsters have gone out. Finley McAllister to Sheffield United for £160,000, raising to £180,000. And Jack Morehouse to Norwich for £86,000. With that and that, we've got in around probably about £300,000 that we wouldn't have had otherwise, plus tiny amounts of money off the wage bill. So yeah, Martinez, Mount, Anthony and Dalot all out of the club. Don't forget Rashford's gone as well. He will be joining Inter He's got a mandatory fee in his contract. So if we now look at the club and filter by the age side of things, like I say, Rashford and Anthony will go. Bayendier will end up leaving as well. He's contracted with us for another season. So at the end of next season, he'll go on a free transfer because no one's going to buy him, I don't think. Rasmus Højlund can probably stick around. Need to work that out, but he might be able to stick around. I think we worked out he could. So really, everyone else in this team now, we can keep until the end of this save. We're not going to. We will move people on. If we look at the ability of our players, we've got a good start here. We then have a few 3 stars. Once we start getting down here, you start looking at what the drop-off is. And, Samuel Lucero could end up being a decent squad player if he reaches 3 stars. John Kirk's obviously a youngster with potential. Tyler Fredrickson, we've got him here purely because he's homegrown. If we can get in a homegrown at Nation right back, which is harder than it sounds, then he's someone I'm happy to leave. Left back, we've probably got players in our youth set up that can come through and take his place if we want to move him on for anything. I mean, he's got a value of up to 10 million. He's not a great player, obviously, but when you filter by potential, we have just got so much potential in this team. And when you see how we're performing this season, it's just been incredible. This team is really coming on. If we look at the tactic, I mean, this is a team I'm about to go into battle with in the next game. We'd have Koyoda would be in instead of Fredrickson, for example, and Koyoda has been fantastic. If we look at his league performance, 20 appearances, 4 goals, 3 assists, 2 player of the match awards, 7.17. He has been top quality for us since arriving for, what was his price, 73 million. What I'm also going to do as well is, while we look at how Man City are chasing us, I'm going to put a screenshot on screen round about now where it's the best 50 players in the world, not the next gen wonder kids, but the top 50 players in the world. And Manchester City have got something like 7 players in the top 10. They've got 9 players in the top 30, I think it is. In comparison, we've got 1, which is Javi Guerrero, our captain, who I think he's something like 35. And it's just mad how many players Man City have got in that. And, no wonder they're the team that is pushing us the most, and the team that we've got in a cup final and all that, because they absolutely should be right up there. Right, that's the end of part 2, folks. Let's go to part 3 and see what we've managed to win. Welcome to part 3 and the end of season review. And what a season it's been. As you can see from this screen right here, Premier Division champions, we've won it by 10 points. Liverpool were 2nd. Villa were 3rd. Man City were all the way down in 4th place. They really fell off in the second half of the season. FA Cup winners, Carabao Cup winners, Community Shield winners. We've done the domestic treble, quadruple if you want to include the Community Shield, but I don't think you guys would let me get away with including the Community Shield. So domestic treble. However, and this is kind of a talking point, that I should be over the moon. I should be delighted. We are dominating English football. There's no doubt about that. We've got back-to-back Premier League champions. We're 2-time FA Cup winners. We've now won the Carabao Cup as well. But we got knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League by Real Madrid. And that was a painful loss because we lost both legs, the home leg and the away leg, both by 2-1. And I was really confident after the group stage where played 8, won 8, beat Bayern, beat Chelsea, all this sort of stuff. I was really confident we were going to get through and win the Champions League. We would have been playing Barcelona in the semi-finals had we got there, but we didn't. We basically achieved the minimum, which was reaching the quarterfinals. If we have a look at the schedule, the last time I dipped in and said hello was at the end of the January transfer window, so it was around here. And after that, we continued a really good run. We got a draw against West Ham away from home, but then we beat Tottenham 3-2 at home, which I'm kind of considering as a bit of an achievement, considering previously this season we'd already lost to them here in the Premier League. We played them again, where was it? where's Tottenham? We played them again here in the Carabao Cup semi-final. Lost again in the away leg, but we won the home game. So the fact that we played them here in the league at home, we won that as well. But again, a really tough game, 3-2. They really did push us all the way. We 3-0 up with Kalikshoy, Romero and Højlund. But then Son and Pavlovic in the 86th and 92nd minute, I really thought when they scored here that they were going to get another goal and we was going to end up letting this slip. But then we had a 4-0 win against Newcastle, followed by a 1-0 win against Arsenal, which I kind of had mixed feelings about that, because obviously we need them to get a Europa League spot so that the Antony transfer goes through. And it did kind of go through my mind. Do I just put the reserves out in this game and effectively throw the game? And I didn't. I went with a almost full strength side. The only players I didn't play, like Kyoto didn't play as right back, it was Fredriksson because of injury. But other than that, it was a full strength side for us. Then we played Man City in the Carabao Cup final, won that 4-2 after extra time. And as you see, they went 1-0 up through Erling Haaland. Garnacho then got a penalty in the 45th plus 4th minute of the first half. Literally the last kick of the half to make it 1-1. But then 2 minutes into the second half, Haaland scored again to make it 2-1. Rooney Bargi scored on 59 minutes to make it 2-2. Stayed that way until the 101st and 117th minute when Karim Kanate got on the score sheet to make it 4-2. Then we played Portsmouth in the FA Cup 5th round, massive rotation in this game, and we won 5-2. I mean, weren't happy about conceding 2 goals, but Kalikshoy, Naipan, Hamer, Kelson, Bargi, Kanate all getting on the score sheet. Then a league game away from home against Burnley that we won 2-1. Then we played Ajax in the Champions League round of 16, the away leg first. We drew that 2-2, goals from Mainu and Naipan. Then a 0-0 draw against Southampton, which was quite a disappointing result, I have to admit. But then we played Ajax in the second leg, won that 3-0, Bargi, Dorgu and Kabasi with the goals in that game. Followed by a 2-0 win in the FA Cup quarter-final against Bournemouth with goals from Coyote and Neves. Then we played them, a week later, 3-1 win away from home in the league, Mainu, Garnacho and Kalikshoy. Then we played Luton after an international break, won that 5-0, very comfortable, Luton relegated. Højlund, Garnacho, Guerrera, Bargi and Wharton. 2 goals, one in the 91st and one in the 94th, plus a goal in the 86th. We kind of left it late to put the game to bed, put it that way. Then came a bit of a dip in form, really. Real Madrid, at home, we lost 2-1. We were 2-0 down, but Coyote gave us hope going into the away leg. But that hope didn't really last long. They again went 2-0 up. Naipan this time getting what proved to be nothing more than a consolation. We went out 4-2 to Real Madrid. Then we played Tottenham again, this time in an FA Cup semi-final, and won 3-1. Guerrera, Naipan and Kanate. And actually, Naipan in the 91st minute, Kanate in the 94th minute, Maddison in the 90th minute. I mean, these goals came late. They also had 2 men sent off. They were down to 9 men by the 47th minute with us 1-0 up. And really, we should have gone on to coast the game, but we didn't. Maddison actually got them back in it. And I thought then it was going to be going to extra time, and I'm thinking, surely we're not going to lose to a 9-man Tottenham. But then Naipan and Kanate getting us the goals. Disappointing 2-0 win followed up that by Aston Villa away from home. Then a 3-1 win against Chelsea, a 1-0 win against Everton, a 4-1 win against Manchester City in the league, obviously at Old Trafford. Gvardiol own goal, Guerrera, Bargi and Kelson getting on the score sheet. Forest, we drew 0-0. That was a bit of a random game, to be honest. We were really poor in that, and Forest were probably unlucky not to have won the game. Then we played Palace and won 2-0. Adam Wharton playing against his former employers. Leicester, in the last game of the season, we won 2-1 with a much rotated team. And John Kirk getting a goal in that game as well. And we'll come back to that game in a moment. But we also beat Arsenal 2-0 at Wembley in the FA Cup final, goals from Garnacho and Naipan. Now, in the game against Leicester, there's a name here, Damien Lloyd. He came through our youth intake. It was a really poor youth intake. It was a rubbish youth intake. We'll have a quick look at it now, at who we've signed. And as you see, Damien Lloyd is the only player of any real substance. He's got 1-star current ability with 3 to 4-star potential. He's a 15-year-old right back. The fact he is a right back is what pleases me, because we've been getting quite a few left backs coming through. But we finally got a right back, and he played in that game, and at 15 years and however many days it is, he now becomes Manchester United's youngest ever player. So if we go and have a look at the records on the club info screen, I'm not sure if it's going to say, it should do, yeah, there you go, the youngest player, 15 years, 320 days, Damien Lloyd versus Leicester. He's a player I want to slowly start to bring through. He can obviously be a homegrown player for us. He can be back up to Coyote at right back. Fredrickson would then move out. We're replacing homegrown with homegrown. Having a quick look at the squad and looking at the homegrown status players. Hang on, we've got this filtered for. I thought we ain't got that many players. Right, there you go. So we've got it filtered here, and what's worth noticing as well is that Lucero becomes homegrown, and Kelson, they both become homegrown on the 26th of January. So by the time we do season 4, Lucero and Kelson will be part of this homegrown and homegrown at club status, which is good because obviously Marcus Rashford will be leaving. Fredrickson we want out with Damien Lloyd coming in, but obviously at the moment he's part of the youth setup. He'll stay. I'm not going to be the first team at the age of 15, but I think I'll probably just bring him in for some Carabao Cup performances, things like that. In terms of finances, we've got £120 million in the red. We have got 68 million to play with in the transfer budget for next season. We're currently spending 2.76 million in the wage budget. We've got 4.5 there. We could easily adjust that to have a wage budget at something like 3.5 million and put that extra money into the transfer budget, but that'll be for the next episode. In terms of dynamics, Alvaro Fernandez is not particularly happy because I've not let him join other clubs on loan, but tough luck. Team cohesion is excellent, club atmosphere is excellent, managerial support is excellent. So I think all there is left to do now really is to go to the end of season review and have a look at that. So here we are for the end of season review, and there's their 4 delicious looking trophies: the Premier League, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup and the Community Shield on the screen for you. The only one that's missing now is the Champions League. Once we've won the Champions League, we've won everything. I know some people may say we've not won the World Club Cup and you've not won the European Super Cup. Not too worried about those. For me, them competitions don't really feel any more important than the Community Shield. But hopefully we can win the Champions League next season. If not, we need to win it by the end of the following season, because that's the save over. There's only 2 more to go. We're dominating English football now. We need to transfer that over into Europe. Right, let's have a look at the end of season review. New arrivals: Michael Coyote from Fiorentina is the star signing. £73 million, 39 starts, 6 substitute appearances, so 45 appearances in total. 7 goals, 11 assists from a fullback. That is some going. I'm really loving that. For those of you that watched my Bottoms Up series and saw Pateka that I had with Arsenal in that, he's probably still my favourite fullback, but Coyote is absolutely getting there at the moment. 7.31. Nestroy Irankuda, a 20-year-old wonder kid from Bayern Munich, £17 million, 39 appearances, 14 of those were a sub, 4 goals, 13 assists at 7.19. He is turning into some player already, he really is. Severe Housef Naipan from Porto for 70 million, 32 starts, 21 substitute appearances, that's 53 appearances, 15 goals and 9 assists at 7.13. We need to have a conversation in the next episode about whether he takes the place of Javi Guerrero, because he has really shone this season. Adam Wharton, 22-year-old defensive midfielder from Crystal Palace for 100 million. I'm going to click on it. It's probably going to say we've overpaid. They've not said we've overpaid. I feel we have. It's 50 million up front, 50 million instalments. It is 100 million. 3 goals, 2 assists in 27 appearances at 7.06. And Pau Kabasi from Barcelona, 16.5 million, 38 appearances, 3 goals, no assists, 6.88. They hate this deal. I've literally just seen that. They reckon we paid over the odds at 16.5 million for a 19-year-old centre-back that I think is very decent. Naipan they love. Irankuda they're not that keen on. Not really sure why. I think he's a terrific sign. I think 17 million. This was like, don't pay any attention to what the board think, because the board is mainly down to finances. But if you look at all 5 of them signings, I would say all 5 of them have been a success. In terms of the transfers out, you've seen who has gone out. Luke Shaw's gone to Fenerbahce. He's had a decent season, to be fair. I mean, a lot of the players that we've got rid of, it's not because they're not good players in FM. It's because there's not room for him in our squad with the age profile we're trying to achieve. Greenwood's gone to Leipzig, decent season. Palistra's gone to Hull, decent season. They all seem to have had fairly decent times wherever they've gone. Diego Dalot at Arsenal might not agree so much. Sancho at Tottenham might not agree so much. But yeah, they're the players that have gone out. I'm not going to worry about the loans. They're not really that important. In terms of our competitions, 100% full for Old Trafford. 74,031. They're A+. We've won it. They're very happy. They've only given me a C for the Champions League, which is probably about fair. For the FA Cup, they've given me a B. I mean, we won it. Don't know what more they want me to do with it. B+ they've given me for the Carabao Cup. Again, we won it. I don't know what more they want. And the Community Shield, a B-. Again, we won it. I don't know what more they want. That always confuses me. If you win a competition, how have you got anything less than an A+? You've won the whole damn thing. Right, moving over. Moments to remember. The biggest win was a 9-0 win against Astana. The match to remember was a 4-1 win against Manchester City. That was a game as well, actually, that also clinched the Premier League for us. So a 4-1 win on the 2nd of May against Manchester City clinched us the Premier League title. Goal of the season was in the FA Cup 2-0 win against Bournemouth. Coyote, top goal from the right back as he skins 2 Bournemouth players before scoring a powerful effort. In terms of finances, I mean, broadcast revenue has gone down. It's probably because of the Champions League. We got to the final last year, not this year. Competition prize money is for the same reason. Sponsorship has gone up by, 29 million. Corporate and hospitality has gone up by just under a million, about 800,000. And matchday and commercial retail has also gone up by a little bit. In terms of merchandise, £36.34 million in shirt sales. 16.3 million of this is from non-domestic ones. We've sold 1.2 million shirts in total, which doesn't really sound a great deal for a club like Manchester United. And the ones that sold the most were Javi Guerrero, Rooney Bargi, João Neves, Alejandro Garnacho and Sevilla House of Naipan. Good to see that 5 of my favourite players have all contributed to that. No new sponsorship deals. We're a worldwide reputation club, as you'd imagine. And look at that. Kobbie Mainoo. And this goes back to what I said before. Defensive midfield, you do not get the ratings that you deserve. Kobbie Mainoo, 4 assists, 3 goals, 6.96. He should be more like a 7.13, 7.15 type thing. Now, I did say it's going to be interesting, or we're going to have a conversation about whether I have Guerrera in my team for next year. According to this, he's not. It's Naipan and Neves with Mainoo behind. So it's quite interesting to see that FM is saying to me, Damo, ditch Guerrera, Naipan needs to be in there. And to be fair, I probably don't disagree. Neves is absolutely a creative force. 18 assists this season in all competitions. Rooney Bargi with 17 assists. Garnacho with 9 assists but 21 goals. Bargi with 16 goals. Like I say, Naipan with 15 as well. Rasmus Højlund got 22 goals. We spread the goals around quite nicely, I have to say. Then we get to the accolades, and I've won Manager of the Month several times as well as Manager of the Year. Record breakers, João Neves has got the most assists for the club with 18. Dennis Seaman, the most clean sheets with 32 clean sheets across the season. He was second in the Golden Glove Award, by the way. Alisson won that. He had 1 more clean sheet than Dennis Simon. Most player of the match awards, Alejandro Garnacho with 8 of those. Patrick Dorgu was the worst discipline, 12 yellow card. We didn't pick up a red card all season. And I'm really pleased with that, especially considering we were, I think, the worst in the league for picking up yellow cards. Damian Lloyd, youngest player, 15 years, 320 days. Adam Wharton, highest transfer fee paid, 100 million. And the youngest goal scorer, John Kirk, 16 years and 305 days. And if we actually look at John Kirk, he has got a Premier League goal for us as well. He's now made 6 appearances in the league in total. 1 goal, 1 assist. He's got 4 goals from 8 appearances. Plus 1 assist in all competitions this season. That's not bad in my opinion. Player awards, Rooney Bargi was the fans' player of the season on with a 7.3 average rating. Young player of the season was Javi Guerrero on 7.1. Sign of the season was Michael Chioda with 7.3. Michael Chioda was also the goal of the season. Rasmus Højlund was their top goal scorer with 22 goals. João Neves, 18 assists, was their top assist maker. Alejandro Garnacho, most player of the match awards with 8. Michael Chioda with the highest average rating at 7.3. And Nicolas Romero, most passes completed per 90 minutes with 71. A remarkable season for Man United. For Man United, started superbly and never let up. They are deservedly champions. Man UFC, as they're called in the game, unless you put the real name fix on, owe everything to a fantastic start to the season that kick-started the most unlikely of journeys. I mean, I wouldn't say it's an unlikely journey. I'd say it's pretty predictable for Football Manager. And there is the manager timeline that I don't really worry too much about. Support profile, the hardcore has gone down by 6%, the fair weather has gone up by 22%. Social media following has increased by 8.5 million to 61.1 million. I mean, there's a lot of expectations on here. If we have a look at some of the other things, this is our overall best 11. So Højlund, start at the back, shall we? Seaman, Shaw, Dalot, Kelson, Romero, Mount, Guerrera, Fernandes, Garnacho, Rashford, Højlund. Coming through, what do they want us to do for next season? They want us to reach the latter stage of the Champions League. They want us to qualify for the Champions League. Fine. Sign players to sell for profit. They're disappointed in that at the moment. But now we're in the position we're in. We could be in a position to start actually doing that. Playing entertaining football, they're only pleased. I mean, we are positive. Grow the club's reputation is pleased. We're on course to work within the wage budget. We will accept the vision. The end of season meeting, we want to say we're going to qualify for the Champions League. Trying to qualify for the Champions League, and they're all pleased. That's exactly what I was after, and there's nothing else to discuss because I don't want to upset anyone, especially when they're about to go on their holiday. And I do want to show you the injury thing as well, because we've had 63 injuries this season. That is a lot. And as you can see from this graph here, we are regularly above the injuries we had last season, and this bit here and this bit here significantly above what we had last season. So injuries have been really frustrating. Højlund's out at the moment. He dislocated his shoulder. He's going to miss 3 months in total. He's out for another 7 to 8 weeks. He'll be back for the new season. That's fine. And yeah, that is pretty much all there is to show you. So please come back again next weekend, next Sunday, 2 p.m. for season 4. And please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on Monday for more of the Unemployed Journeyman. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.